Hi, my name is Sarah Pounders. I'm an education specialist at Kids Gardening. Today, I'd like to share with you a little bit about a new project we have been working on with our friends at SubPod. It is a compost guide for educators. It's full of lesson and activity ideas to help you introduce the benefits of composting to kids and to get your young gardeners excited about composting. We cover topics such as diverting waste, growing food, rebuilding soil, all looking at how the simple activity of composting at home or at school can help not only on a local scale, but also global scale. So to just give you a brief background, if you've never heard of SubPod, SubPod is an innovative system that combines vermicomposting, worm composting in an outdoor setting. So it's a worm bin that can be placed in a raised bed or directly into the soil. And it's just a really fun way to get kids excited about composting and to just really be able to dig their hands in there and see decomposition in action. So you can download this guide at the website listed here. And I've given you just an overview of the table of contents of what's included. But today I'd also like to share with you a recorded conversation that we had with some of our friends at SubPod, Peter Critch and Katherine Roberts. And they're going to share a little bit more about why composting is so important to them and also a little bit about some of the experiences that some of the schools that have worked with them have had with composting. I hope you will enjoy. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Today, we have an exciting opportunity to talk to some compost enthusiasts. My name is Sarah Pounders, and I am an education specialist at Kids Gardening. And we at Kids Gardening, we obviously are a national nonprofit that focuses on promoting gardening to kids of all ages and in all settings. But we especially always try to encourage our young gardeners to also incorporate composting into their gardens, and for so many reasons. One is just so that they can better understand the natural process of decomposition, so they can understand what's a little bit more about what's going on and all the little microbes that are living in their soil and the soil web, and all of just how nature takes care of nutrients and takes care of the plants. But it's also a great opportunity to talk about much bigger issues that are facing our world, such as food waste and overflowing landfills, and things such as climate change and food availability. So there's just so many different great opportunities to learning experiences in the garden when you have a compost compost bin or some kind of composting system. And that's what we're here to talk today about. We have our friends here from SubPod. We have Peter and Katherine, and we have recently partnered with SubPod to put together a set of lessons to try and encourage schools specifically, but also many of them can be done at home, to get into the garden, to dig in, to start looking at how compost can really help and reflect how we can participate in it. One of the great things about composting in the garden, in addition to just becoming aware of all these issues, is that it gives kids the chance to feel like they're making a difference, for them to understand how they, in their daily lives, can actually impact all of these really major global issues and local and global issues. So today, I'm very excited to share. Katherine and Peter are going to kind of share all about the SubPod and all the innovative ways to incorporate composting. And I want to start out by just letting them introduce themselves briefly to us. So why don't y'all just share a little bit about how you got involved in composting and just why you think it's so important.
Katherine, do you want to go first?
No, I'm going to let the face of SubPod speak first. Go for it.
Well, thank you, everybody. Or thank you, first of all, Sarah, for organizing this and giving us the opportunity to speak about composting. It's something we do on a day-by-day basis, but actually having the opportunity to speak to everybody that's watching now that is making an impact in education, in the education system, and wanting to create a more sustainable system and thinking about composting. So my name is Peter, and I'm really just a big compost nerd. I have a background in environmental science, and about 5 years ago, I got that. And ever since, I've just had my hands in the soil and really understood that how we can move forward in this world is through our soil. So if you think about climate change, the two big things that people talk about, or the scientists will say, is that we have to deal with adapting and mitigation. And soils, understanding soils and learning how to regenerate soils actually combats both of them. So that's what really got me connected to it, but more on a day-by-day basis, something a bit more that gets me out of bed is really looking at the microbes, as you just touched on it, Sarah. Microbes just fascinate me, and we're constantly learning more and more about them. So I kind of see the soil as a bit of a universe out there that it's untapped, and it's just a fascinating world. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to sharing you guys what I know about composting, and hopefully by the end of it, you feel like you will have enough skills and knowledge to try it out and see where we go from there. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Katherine Roberts, and I live in Byron Bay in Australia, where SubPod was born and invented by a good friend of ours, Andrew Haim de Vries. I've been involved with growing food in permaculture for years now, and it wasn't until Andrew made contact with me saying that he wanted to start a composting business up that I got involved with going deeper into composting. At that stage, it was one of those segments of my garden experience that I'd kind of avoided. I'd always found it a little bit messy or a little bit complicated, or, there was a lot of work involved in getting it right. So I'd kind of just left that to the experts and focused very much on just feeding the soil by using mulch and adding fertilizers and thinking more about the plants that I was adding into the gardens. And then when he said to me, I've got this great idea about taking composting into the garden and going underground using compost worms, that I went, oh my God, well, how genius. I mean, why hasn't somebody thought about it before? I mean, I know I'd sort of seen small little versions of it around, but I'd never really understood what it was that he was proposing, and what a great solution to something that was just very easy and was right there in the garden. It was like, instead of the compost being in one section and the garden being somewhere else, he just brought them together. So I got really excited. I got involved. I didn't know much about compost and composting worms to start with, but that was about 5 years ago. And now we've built the team along with Peter Critch. We've got another science nerd, another Peter. We've got Sadi, who was like, knew how to launch an idea like this, and was really, all of us were really passionate about doing something that was going to make a difference on the planet. So we've all got our own little nerdy bits that we're into. Mine's more focusing on helping people to understand that they can grow some of their own food and to get excited about that. And of course, taking it out into the community and sharing it with all the next generations who can start making a difference in this world. That's behind what we love to do. So really happy to be here, and thank you, Sarah and Kids Gardening, for helping us take this to the next level of being able to share it with the community of educators out there.
Yes, and as you guys introduce yourself, that just reminds me of how your focus really is on changing the world. It's in fact, I can see Peter's shirt. It says "Feed the soil, feed the world," and
Yeah.
that really is this. It is so, like, looking at the big picture. That's like kind of where we'll start tonight. So that is where we're kind of starting, because it's more about so composting can just be seen as like a way to clean up your garden, what to do with your garden waste, or like that might be some way of looking at it. But really, the focus that we're looking at and giving this as a tool for teachers and schools, and also at home for your kids, is the bigger picture. So let's start with that, and the big picture of why people need to compost. If you guys want to share that a little bit, why it's so important, and what your big mission is here.
Yeah, I'd love to. First off, I don't want to bring this to the doom and gloom party, because I know that happens way too often. But going off the back of the IPCC report a couple of days ago, it's now more evident than ever that climate change is approaching, and we really need to come up with strategies to mitigate and adapt to it. So I'm just going to share a couple of mind-blowing facts that when I first heard about them, I was like, whoa, that's scary. So there's 50 years left of farmable land. So 50 years time, we are going to have to think of some solutions there. A lettuce takes 25 years to break down in landfill. So when you pop your food waste in a bin and it gets to landfill, it actually gets stuck. It just gets suffocated under all that other stuff there, including plastic bags, batteries, washing machines, everything you can think of. So there's no oxygen that can get to it. And oxygen is a critical part in order for it to break down naturally. Oxygen and soil really helps. And what that does, it releases methane, which is a greenhouse gas emission, which is about roughly 25 times more potent than CO2. To put that into perspective, if food waste was a country, it would be the third largest contributor to climate change, right after China and the United States. So it's a really big problem we're dealing with here. But the fact of the matter is that, yes, it's a really big problem, but it's also a really big solution, because all of this food waste can be turned back into soil through composting. And composting is a natural process. So it's been happening for millions, billions of years. Billions of years? I'll just say that. And so well, yes, it has. So I guess just tapping into that natural process that's been happening for so long isn't that hard, really. We humans actually get in the way of it. So how can we do that? That's what gets me really excited. And those bigger questions and those, I would say, fears that I wake up with, that this is going to be a really big task for us and our children to respond to. There's actually a flip side of, we can compost, we can build soil, we can grow food, and we can build community with this. So that's where I'm sitting at, and that's what I would like people to walk away with.
That is yeah, definitely. So I didn't know, Katherine, if you had anything that you wanted to add on.
Just that onto that, it's just something that we can all do, and I think it's something too that, particularly kids, if we're talking about children and schools now, it's something that they can feel empowered around. It's something that they can do in their own schoolyard, in their own backyard, they can do with their family and their friends. And it's something that, like, I always get blown away. You take a bunch of worms into a classroom or into a school and setting, the kids go crazy. I mean, I don't know if it's something like liking, fart jokes or something, they all love worms, and it's something that they get, that's fun, it's interesting, they can engage with, and then that leads them into learning about all these other things, but it's in a really fun, accessible way. And yeah, I think that's just what's really fascinated me about seeing the reaction of kids engaging with their natural environment through these wriggly little wormy things. And then, of course, then they start to get blown away by all the facts that, Peter was sharing, but how many microbes there are in a teaspoon, and how many different things that are really going on beneath that soil. I mean, it's almost like one of those video games. You've got so much going on in there. That's all the different relationships and the different, activities and the different, crazy things that not even scientists fully understand yet. So it's a whole wonderland that they can explore and become empowered around, because it's not just, this is the way it is. It's like, let's go and see what this is about. Let's explore this. Let's get excited about it. And then it becomes a really practical thing too, that they can do in their everyday life.
So Katherine, one of the amazing things that, as we were looking at putting together this guide, one of the big things about having the compost as a tool in the classroom is making sure that teachers can integrate it into what they're doing, into their daily life in the classroom, what they're teaching, their learning objectives, and with their students, what they're trying to achieve. So, you have worked with an amazing number, like you said, over 200 schools that you've worked to get the SubPod into their classroom. So I was wondering if you could share a little bit more with us about how they're integrating it, how they're using it in the classroom.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. It's been so exciting, because usually what happens is we'll have one really enthusiastic teacher or parent at a school. It's something that's starting to change in school environments where the sustainability practices of a school are becoming more and more important, and they're becoming more of a focus. But what we've found is that we've got a lot of, you'll have one teacher or you'll have one enthusiastic parent who really wants to start, introducing composting as part of like maybe a gardening project that they've got going on, or a food growing, teaching kids about, growing food and cooking and things. And they want to add this to their program, and they're really, really excited, but they're like, we need help, we need resources, we need, how do we make this a success, and how do we engage the school? So that's kind of where I've come in helping, not only to just find out what it is that we can do, but how to connect schools together so that they can start sharing their success stories and start to encourage each other by their mistakes or their successes on how to keep composting part of their classrooms. And what's been most exciting to hear is that there's been such a shift towards creating learning opportunities in outdoor classrooms. So, having a garden space or something that's taking them away from the whiteboards and the screen time, and taking them outside and engaging them in a natural process, which it's fun for the teachers as well, but they need, as you said, to tie it into the curriculum material. And composting is so great because, same with gardening, there's so many different subjects that it can lead into. And what I try to encourage the teachers to think about it as a project that encompasses so many different areas of learning. So, to get them involved, the students, to get them involved from, right when you're thinking about starting the project, not when it's been installed or when it's already been, in place. Start getting them to engage with, okay, we're thinking about creating a garden, we're thinking about putting a sub pod. What are the things that we need to think about? Creating a team, not only a team of students, but a team in the school, and then, getting them together to think about what do we want to do with this project? How do we want to make it tie in with our, maybe we've got a mission statement from the school that we like to, incorporate it. And so then you're creating a project that's not just about one lesson or one subject. It becomes a project that the whole school can engage in, and it becomes a legacy. So I try to get them to understand a bigger picture and then bring it back down to, okay, let's make it really simple and start small. And that's where have you thought about what food waste do you have at the school? How much of that do you actually want to start, composting? What are the logistics involved? Who's going to be part of that project? There's so many little bits and pieces, but it's about how can you engage not only the teachers and the students, but the principals, the grounds people, and the community of a school as a whole. And so for us, that's why we wanted to come to you to help us, because you guys are such legends in providing resources to educators out there, that we wanted to start providing them with not only a product that can make it an easy and fun thing to do at schools, but also provide them with some ideas about how to start sharing this journey and inspiring teachers and students to get involved with some projects and learning as by doing, getting out there and learning, engaging with the natural environment, which of course has so much to share with us every day. So yeah, does that answer that question?
Yes, that definitely does. That definitely does. I don't know if do we want to try to show the video, or do we want to?
Yeah. So I thought, do you want to share a little bit about Lindisfarne and?
Yeah, so this was actually said to Lindisfarne, this is the world first school that ever had sub pods. And they had done a full waste audit of their school, and their goal of the school was to become sustainable. So that's what they wanted. There was this teacher, Tracy, and the composting of food waste was something that she had missing from her gardens, and she wanted to be able to compost the whole school's food waste. Now, this was pre-COVID. So they had a fully functioning school with a garden, with a kitchen. So the amount of waste that they had meant that they were going to have 41 sub pods. So She didn't start small, she went big. And there was a few really valuable lessons that came out of that experience for her and for us. But anyway, look, let's just share the little video that they made as part of their project to share with the school what the Composting with Sub Pod was all about. So yeah, Peter, if you just want to press that
Yeah,
play.
I'll screen share now for everyone.
Hi everyone, I'm sure that you've seen all the sub pods that have been installed around the school. We've got them halfway down the stairs in the Indonesian garden, as well as around the science labs. Your organic waste is collected in compost caddies. Each day the caddies are collected and stored in 20-litre bins. We're weighing the waste so we can collect data on just how much waste we are diverting from landfill and saving the school money in garbage collection costs. At the moment we're collecting around 30 kilos each week and are hoping to collect more. We can do that if everybody at Lindisfarne supports the project and makes sure that you put all your organic waste into a compost caddy.
We want your fruit, vegetable and sandwich scraps.
We don't want meat, dairy or citrus. These things can go in the normal green rubbish bins.
You'll find compost caddies located near green rubbish bins throughout the school.
The organic waste, which is high in nitrogen, goes into the sub pods, along with a handful of shredded newspaper, which gives the worms the carbon they need for a healthy diet. We use an aerator to mix the waste and paper throughout the compost and to make sure the soil is light and fluffy. After about 6 months, all the soil from the sub pods is ready to spread around the gardens throughout the school. What a great way to divert all this organic waste from landfill.
We can do that if everyone at Lindisfarne really supports the project and makes sure that you put all your organic waste in the compost caddies so that we can divert all of that waste from landfill, save costs for the school and make a big step towards being a sustainable school.
Yeah, she's a legend, that Tracy. She's really dedicated to the cause. But some of the things that we learnt from that was she really needed to build a team. And some of those students that you saw in the video, they're great. They are the ones that every lunch and playtime they go out and collect the food waste and they're documenting it and they're weighing it. But yeah, she's got 31 in the senior school and 10 in the junior school that they've got to try and find enough food waste. So that was one of her biggest challenges, was like, oh my God, I didn't realize I had to feed the worms so much. And she could definitely do with now engaging with some of the projects that some of the other schools that we've been interacting with, where they actually get the kids bring their food waste from home. So there's a project called Food Scraps Friday that's started down in a Sydney school, where one of the teachers or parents was every Friday, the kids would bring their food scraps from home and they would weigh it and document it, and then it would go into their compost systems and go in towards feeding the garden. So that was another really great project that we love to see, was again taking that learning that they have from school and taking it back into the home environment and engaging with the community. So yeah, lots of great scope. And then some of the other things that, again, getting the whole school on board, and that was the video that they made to try and show at assembly, to try and get everyone to understand what was happening. So, I mean, there's a huge scope for getting all sorts of talents and abilities of all different students to engage with a project like this. You don't have to be a gardener. You can be someone who can be doing interviews or collecting data or creating nice signs or doing videos. And then you've got those who can be in there, digging in the garden and planting flowers or taking, there's such a wide scope of talents and skills that can be developed in projects like this.
So I hope you enjoyed that conversation with Peter and Katherine as much as I do. I just always enjoy talking with them and getting ideas and just seeing their enthusiasm and excitement about composting and just in general saving the planet. So I also want to remind you that you can download the guide and get ideas and more information at this address. Also, SubPod is offering educators a 10% discount with the code KidsCompost10. And also, if you have additional questions or comments, Please feel free to join the chat on the Kids Garden community or SubPod's Grow Hub community to learn more and to connect with others who are composting with their young gardeners. Or you can email me at sarahp@KidsGardening.org. We look forward to talking to you soon and hope that you will get started composting.